Alright, so I watched the Book of Boba Fett, and then I rewatched the Book of Boba Fett, and now I'm going to talk about it, because if I don't, I have nothing else to post. Overall, I would call the show just kind of fine. It had good moments, and then it had some bad moments and some questionable moments, and it just kind of averaged out to a fine show. The biggest issue it had was it just felt unfocused. In the first 4 episodes, they're divided into this like present day and flashback thing, and it to me just doesn't work because in the present day, you don't really understand Boba Fett's motivations or his goals. All you really know is that he literally usurps the throne from Bib Fortuna and then suddenly wants to rule with respect. But what he wants is completely unclear until episode 4. And in the flashbacks, you'd think that would explain what's going on in the present day, but they really don't feel connected at all. I get that like he's supposed to be learning that he needs a family to survive, and that's what the Tusken Raiders taught him, but I just never really got that sense. It kind of felt like there were two separate stories going on that were supposed to converge at some point, but it just never really worked for me. And I think it would have been just way better if they told this whole part chronologically. If he crawled out of the Sarlacc and then he went and messed around with the Tusken Raiders for a while, and he learned how important family is and had the Tuskens killed, and then he went and took Jabba's position. His character progression in these flashbacks didn't feel entirely natural to me either. You know, he's supposed to learn that he's better off with a tribe, with a family. But he kind of just learns that. I feel like we never really see him learn that. Like, what I think would have been cool is if, when he tried to escape, what if he actually got away and he was just out in the desert, you know, burning and dehydrated, and he's trying to dig up those black melons, but he can't find them anywhere. And then he realizes that being a captive with the Tusken Raiders is better than just being out in the desert on his own, because at least that way he'll be alive. So then he goes back and then he realizes that he needs people with skills that he doesn't have in order to make his way through the galaxy. And then of course he'd help the Tusken Raiders fight back against the train that just keeps slaughtering them, and they would have accepted him into the group, and it would have been a happy family thing they had going on. Until of course the Pikes killed them all. Although I still don't quite get why he wants to be the daimyo. Maybe he wants to build his own family after losing the Tusken Raiders, one that can fight back against the Pikes, but I don't think it was ever really explained why he specifically took that position. Why didn't he just go hang out on another planet? But yeah, just the first 4 episodes, to me, it kind of feel like you get a bunch of pieces of a story, and it's not until the 4th episode that you can put them together into something that kind of makes sense overall. And then we get to episode 5 and 6, and the show just takes a complete detour to be Mandalorian Season 3. And with the 5th and 6th episodes, the difference in quality from the rest of the show is night and day. Where I felt like Boba's story felt very unfocused, the Mandalorian, he has clear feelings and motivations for his actions, and it's just more entertaining to watch because of it. And then there's the finale, which felt just really sloppy to me overall. I didn't like how a big like gang war was just a big clump of people running around and then hiding in a different spot. It's like they just didn't know what to do with them. And those giant droids hardly caused any damage. The Rancor did more than they did. And there was unnecessary spinning and flips that the characters were doing, and it just kind of gave off the impression that the creators weren't very confident in what they were making, so they thought some flashy moves would make it better. Oh, and Fennec's assassination scene was more confusing than anything. She, I guess, shot through the roof and somehow stuck a noose through the roof to hang the guy, and then she was inside. It was weird. Overall, like I said, it's okay. It could have been way better, but even if they just, you know, told it chronologically and maybe gave it a little more time to flesh things out, that on its own would have been a big improvement. Also, is it just me, or is Boba kind of a moron in this series? You know, given his past, I'd assume that if he took over Jabba's role, he'd kind of understand how things worked. But then when that Twi'lek Majordomo comes through and he doesn't give him a tribute but expects that Boba's going to give him one, and Boba Fett's just all confused. But it's not a hard thing to understand. The mayor's just corrupt. Or the moment when he wants the Pikes to pay protection to the Tusken Raiders and they don't want to. It's like, of course they didn't want to. They're corrupt. Or in the finale, when all the crime lords betray him and he's all surprised, like he really believed that they weren't going to do that. Like, of course they betrayed you, Boba Fett. They're corrupt. it's kind of frustrating to watch a protagonist who should be a competent person be constantly undermined and disrespected. What else? The mods, I didn't mind them as much as some people did. I didn't think they looked like out of place necessarily, but they could have been dirtier, on Tatooine. I always thought it could have been this fun little characterization they had where they're always trying to keep stuff clean and stop the sand from scratching everything, and how they would just wish that they were on another planet where it'd be easier to maintain their aesthetic. But they just kind of exist and hang out, and they don't really have trouble. Oh, and let's end it on a positive note. Cad Bane was really good. I think he looked really good, and it helped that the same voice actor played him in this live-action version. I really do wish that he was introduced earlier and was like a primary antagonist for Boba to, I don't know, represent like his former life and how it tries to drag him back in. I feel like that would have made the show a lot more entertaining than, having Boba Fett think that the two Hutt cousins are gonna kill him, and then it's not the Hutts, and then it's just kind of the Pikes, who we don't really know and don't have any connection to Boba Fett. But yeah, just overall, it could have been a better show. It could have been more focused. Things could have been established better. It had potential. They just didn't quite deliver on it, except in episodes 5 and 6. Those were great.